This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, where we help women remove the overwhelm of living their most holistic life. This is the place to find evidence-based nutrition tactics, healthy lifestyle and wellness tips, abundance mindset, and easily implementable low-tox living strategies so you can rise up to your full potential and protect your family's health. I'm your host, Stacey Heine, certified holistic nutritionist and better living advocate. Now, let's get empowered with some simple swaps that make a big impact for optimal wellness.
Welcome to episode 30 of the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. Pretty soon you're going to hear a new intro for the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. But in the meantime, I want to help transition a little bit of the mood and the vibe into what we're going to be focusing a lot more on here at the Urban Pharmacy, and that is women in business. I know that women in business make this world go round, and women who are tapping into their physical, mental, and spiritual best are the women that truly make an impact. And as I love teaching about low-tox living, plant-based eating, and abundance mindset, all of that came in tandem with me becoming an entrepreneur well over a decade ago. So today's guest is a perfect way to segue into the new focus that we're going to be having here at the Urban Pharmacy, in addition to the healthy living tactics that we've been already learning. And today's guest is Steph Weber, my personal brand coach and friend. She is the owner of the Weber Co., and you are going to learn more about her journey in entrepreneurship, her story, and why branding is so important, regardless of what business you have. Service-based, product-based, you need a brand if you want to stand out. So get ready for a great episode. Here it is, Steph Weber.
Today's guest is my coach, Steph Weber. Steph, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, my friend.
Thanks, Jace. I'm stoked to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm standing in my kitchen because I've been doing cooking videos and I didn't want to move my whole setup. So for those of you that watch this on YouTube, that's why I'm in my kitchen. We're not cooking today. We're not talking about food. We might talk about food, who knows? But we're talking business. And as you will see and hear from my intro of my podcast, you're going to understand that the Urban Pharmacy is making a small pivot. And Steph has been a big part of my journey to finding this clarity. So I wanted to have her on as my first guest. Really, I mean, we've had several entrepreneurs on, but really Steph is like the killer entrepreneur that I strive to be. And you guys will totally understand what I mean when we get into talking with her. But Steph, again, is my brand coach. And so if it seems like I know a little bit of her past story, that's why. And we're going to dig in deep to, what makes a good entrepreneur today, what her insights are on habits and all the good things. So let's just dive right in, my friend. Steph, do you want to say anything before we start?
Sure. Yeah. I'll share a little bit about who I am.
Yes.
First of all, Stace, when you were like, we're not cooking today, I was like, yeah, hail to the no, we are not. I do not cook, you guys. That is not my jam. That is not my gift. I leave all that up to Stace. She's fabulous. But super stoked to be here. So my name is Steph Weber. I am the CEO of the Weber Co., where we empower women entrepreneurs to build a brand that truly disrupts the status quo in their industries, that stands out, allows them to cultivate their legacy, create that time and financial freedom defined on their own terms. And I love what we do. It's very cool. We believe that if you don't have a solid brand, you do not have a sustainable business. Marketing and branding go hand in hand. It's not just about throwing up posts on social media and hoping something sticks. So we very much teach that brand foundation and layer in marketing strategies that work for our entrepreneurs as we grow together. And it's really beautiful partnership. And I feel very, very fortunate that I can say every client that I get to work with, I absolutely love. And I know that not every coach feels that way. And I truly do. So I feel very, very fortunate that that's the case as we are growing this business and asking these entrepreneurs to come alongside of us and supporting them in a really cool way.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, because you said that you love working with every single client that you've had. Now, I have been an entrepreneur for over a decade and can't say the same thing. Do you want to know why? Because I wasn't marketing, nor did I wasn't marketing correctly. I was trying to market and figure out what I was doing there. I had no business background, but I also didn't know who my avatar was. I didn't know who I was marketing to. And that is a big part of why I hired you, Steph, because you help women find clarity in that space. And it's an integral part of having a successful business. So, all right, Steph, where did you start with your entrepreneur journey? And how are you where you are today?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to when I was 17. My dad owned a business, and my mom and dad looked at me in July of 2010, right before my senior year of high school, and said, the company is filing bankruptcy and we do not have money to be able to send you to school. If you want to do it, you're doing it on your own. And I said, okay, fine, watch me. Here I go. I will figure it out. So I have had the entrepreneurial spirit because my dad grew up as an entrepreneur. He grew up on the farm. Then he was an entrepreneur. So while I was growing up, he was an entrepreneur. So I feel like that has always just been in my blood. But my very first job was also with a small business in Greenwood, Indiana, at a prom boutique. And that's where I started at 17, when I had to pay for gas and for school and all the things. And since that time, I've always worked with entrepreneurs. I truly believe that entrepreneurs make our communities all that they are. They make the world go round. And I am very much one that's like, let's support the small businesses that are so special and that truly value those personal relationships with each other, and value supporting one another. And that is kind of where my journey began. When I was working for that boutique, we started working with influencers in 2016. And I said, I can do this. I can talk about what I'm wearing and what I'm doing in Indy. Like, why not? So I started under the name Trendy in Indy. For those of you who are from Indianapolis, maybe you are familiar with that. That was my first brand. So it's fashion, beauty, and travel influencing, predominantly focused on supporting small businesses. Through that, though, I had some really incredible partnerships from Napa Valley to Wall Street to Europe to places in Indianapolis. And so really, really cool opportunities and networking. But in that, I realized that so many entrepreneurs were not branding themselves. They were really focused on the marketing. They were focused on the Instagram and the Facebook and the things and the ads. And I was like, hold on a minute. What's your message? Who are you targeting? You know, if you want to hire me as an influencer, that's great. We can totally do the thing, but I need to know who your market is, because what if your market doesn't align with me? Then you're just paying me and you're not going to see a return because of that. So in that, I decided to start consulting, because I had been doing branding and marketing for the businesses that I was employed by. And I went to school for PR and advertising. So I was like, I can do this. And I started consulting, which very quickly turned into coaching, which very quickly turned into the Weber Co. as you see it today. So that is kind of a short version of a long story and journey of how I got here. But in terms of, how I really grown this business, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, Stacey. For me, it was really identifying who it was that I wanted to work with, but also who I could create transformation for, and who I could really help in the biggest and best way possible, and what the impact was that I knew I wanted to make in the world. And I have always led from a place of service and from a place of true compassion and a place of knowing what my end result, my end goal is. And that has really helped me be able to grow the business to what it is today and to work with really, really cool entrepreneurs.
I love that. So, okay, here's the question. You started consulting, and then what in the world was it that helped you decide that you wanted to create a program?
Mm-hmm.
Like versus just working with people one-on-one? Was it that like you hired somebody that was like, dude, you need to have a program, and you need to, if you want to scale your business, you got to do it this way? Or was it that like, you just had this deep down desire that you wanted to like touch so many more people and you had to figure out how to do it? Like, what was it that made you go in the direction that you have in terms of like the Weber Co. and Brands That Captivate Academy, which is what I'm in?
Yeah. So it's kind of a combination of those things, Stace. When I was consulting, it was like, we'll meet for an hour, $97 an hour. We'll kind of do this thing. We'll go from there. It wasn't structured. And what I realized in that was that what I wanted to help entrepreneurs do was going to take time, was going to take structure. And I also didn't want to do it for them. Like, I didn't want to be in the weeds of like, because what was happening was I had people coming to me going, oh, well, can you create content for us and schedule our social media? And then all of a sudden I'm creating content for all these different businesses, and I'm running social media and I'm clicking buttons. And I was like, this is not my jam. Like, this is not what I want to do. I want to create for myself, and I want to help other entrepreneurs be able to have that within their businesses in a powerful, captivating way that leads to those conversions. So it was partially my own experience of like, let's just get started with this. And then it was the investment in my own coaches who were like, after I realized at first on my own that consulting one-on-one for 1 hour was like not going to be the bee's knees and wasn't going to really help create what I wanted to create, I started a 10-week coaching program. And that was great. But again, it didn't allow me to do everything I wanted to help those entrepreneurs do. They were getting great clarity, but then it was, so what do we do with this? And I couldn't answer what do we do with this in 10 weeks because it takes more time than that. So then I found a coach who's incredible, and she has a whole program, whole system. Her name is Kelly. She runs the Unstoppable Entrepreneur Program. And I invested in that. And they were like, have you ever thought about a 12-month program? And I was like, 10 weeks to 12 months, you're nuts. Like, how am I ever going to do that? And I really started thinking about, what is that transformation? What do I want to create at the end of the day? When these entrepreneurs come to me, where are they? And where do I want them to be after working with me? And determining that, I was able to work backwards and say, what are the pieces that are going to get them to this end point? And what needs to be included in order for them to reach that? And 12 months was very, very easy. And now we have entrepreneurs like you, Stace, in the program who are back for year 2. So now you're going to be in this program for 24 months. And here's the deal. Marketing is always freaking evolving. There's always a new platform. Instagram just announces that it's a video platform and forget photos, and now we're video. And then there's Clubhouse and all the things, right? And not every business owner needs to be on all these platforms. That's not the point. The point is that marketing is always shifting. You have to be willing to adapt and change as the world adapts and changes. And we are alongside of our entrepreneurs doing the work we need to do so that they don't have to go to Google University and try to figure out and piecemeal together. We're helping them create a strategy that works for them. And if the new platforms or the new features on the platforms make sense for them to integrate, then we put those together for them. But otherwise, that's the customization piece of marketing. So
yeah,
hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. And it just brings me to the point that like, I've heard coaches say, like, if you join my program, I don't want to see you back because that means that I didn't do my job. But here's the deal. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it is an ongoing working thing. And like, no, if you find a good program that like you literally just try to like scratch the surface with and like try all the tactics, it's going to take more than a year. Like, it's going to take true time for full transformation to happen, because you're going to figure things out that you thought were going to work that didn't work. And you're going to need to pivot, and you're going to need to, go with the other resources that are within like the academy and figure out that. Like, with me over the last year since working with you, I've started a podcast. I launched my blog. I've, put myself out there even more than I was before in terms of video and getting clear on the people that I'm trying to serve. And I am now, I've launched a 12-week course, and now I'm in the middle of putting together a 12-month course, because I did find that stuff just with working with people for 12 weeks. They got all of the how. Now, how do they implement it on the daily? Like, you've got to take these things in small bite-sized pieces and actually implement each one well if you want to really have a strong business, or if you really want to have like ultimate health and a strong business, which is what I am pivoting my brand into. So I think that like it just speaks to how good it is to see how many people are redoing like the last year, how many people are signing up for the second year, because it's like, oh, we didn't have enough of stuff, first off, but we also didn't have enough of like all of the people that are behind the Weber Co. that are making the thing move now. Like, you've hired people, it's incredible, and it just keeps growing. And like, we never are going to be able to catch up with all of the content, because there's just so much. And we always have to keep, learning as entrepreneurs. So, okay, I want to ask you kind of something that is random, sort of, but for you and your business stuff and like in your life, I'm assuming that there might be something every single day that you're doing that's a non-negotiable. I know you like to take your weekends off, somewhat. You're like, I don't really like to work Fridays and Saturdays. Like, is there one thing that's constant in your daily life? Like, I mean, maybe it's like your breakfast, or maybe it's just like something that is consistent, because I find that with really successful entrepreneurs, like, we don't have the capacity to be thinking about too many things, and we find things that work that are consistent, and we stick with them, and we just move on and add on. Is there anything in your life like that?
Yeah, Stace. So here's what I think it is for me more than anything, because to be honest, my world has been a little bit rocked this year with having a baby and moving across the country, moving back to Indiana. And I feel like if I sat here and told you I'm in my full focus planner consistently every day, that's just not honest. Because there have been days where I haven't done that. But I think there are a couple of things. One, the people in my life, the people that I choose to surround myself with, and who I put myself in circles with on a day-to-day basis, the coaching programs that I'm in and showing up in those, the people in my life that I lean on for support, the clients that I connect with and communicate with on a daily basis. I put myself in circles with people who fulfill me, who light me up, who support me and truly cheer me on. And I don't deal with anything less than that. So I think that is probably that's a huge consistent and constant for me. The other thing for me too, especially since having Eli, is drawing some boundaries around my time, especially in the evenings. So usually around 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I shut the computer. Maybe it's a little bit before 6, but I shut the computer and I say, I'm done. And I am spending time with him, and we're eating dinner as a family, and I'm connecting with him in an engaged way that is not distracted with my phone all the time. So I'd say that that's another big thing. The last thing from a consistency standpoint, Stace, is the way in which I show up on a daily basis. And that is with energy, with a fire and a passion. And yes, there are days I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm tired. If I could just sleep an extra hour, that'd be pretty cool. But what drives me and what gets me out of bed is the impact that the Weber Co. is making and the impact that our entrepreneurs are making. And I truly wake up feeling like I get to do something very, very cool that I love. And when you go into something with that mindset, because you just know what's being created, it gets you out of bed. And I think that that's it for me. And I think also just showing up on those days that are hard and pushing through and knowing that it's okay to step back, but knowing when I need to continue to move forward. And that goes back to the surrounding myself with the right people and putting myself in the right mindset and those different pieces. Aside from that, from a health and wellness perspective, I would love to tell you that I work out every day. I don't, especially right now with a 4.5-month-old. But I do try to do like 10 minutes of weights a day to like a song or two on my phone. And then I eat healthily for the most part. I am critical about my at least 65 ounces of water, 64 ounces of water a day. I try to drink about half my body weight in water per day in ounces. And then just making sure that whatever I'm putting in my body isn't going to be something that's going to make me tired, but it's something that really truly fuels me and fills me. So
yes, I love that. Okay, I love that constant of surroundings and environment. Like that's so huge. It's so huge. We don't have any time to be like fizzling out the flame, like at all. And as creative entrepreneurs, we can be like, extinguished a little bit with just a little bad energy. It's just like, yeah, we say we're not going to let it rock the boat, but like it throws us off a little bit. And we need to make sure that we are really, really specific about the people who we let in our life. Just as an example, like a few people over the last few weeks that I've mentioned specific things to, whether it's about traveling or creating my ideal life or what we're going to do with the farm, like, etc. They're like, are you sure you're going to be able to do that? Literally. And I'm like, okay, so that I can't do that, because then it makes me question, like, I don't know, oh my God, can I do that? Like now I'm sitting here like worrying about it. And, that's huge. So that's something that I teach too, you guys. Energy with the surroundings and your environment is just so huge. So I love that. Okay, you also mentioned the full focus planner stuff. Like I was going to ask you, in terms of planning, what are you like super happy and savvy with? Is it your full focus planner? For me, it's drawing on a whiteboard, like all of my ideas and my calendar, but like everybody works differently. I want to know what your secret sauce is for staying organized as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So it probably is the full focus planner. When I like, my example is when I was moving last week, my only focus was to make sure that we got here and that I took care of my son and made sure that he was safe. My full focus planner did not happen last week because I just was like, this is my only priority and that's all I'm focusing on. Otherwise, yes, I do use that. It does help me to stay organized and in a way that doesn't create a to-do list. I think that's a huge thing that entrepreneurs get caught up in, is like, I have all these to-do lists, I have all these things to do. And it's like, listen, your brain can only handle so much. So what I love about the full focus planner is that it's annual, it's quarterly, and it's weekly, and it's daily. So it really breaks things down in a way that feels attainable. So I kind of sit down at the very beginning of the year and I plan out, well, actually it's like the end of the year. So like at the end of 2021, for example, I'll sit down and I'll reflect on what's worked in 2021 and what do we really want to truly cultivate and focus on for 2022. I'll plan out our launches. I'll plan out any new programs. I'll plan out kind of my focuses for the year. From there, I divide that into our quarters. And I like this quarter, Q3, for example, I have 2 full-time team members and 1 part-time team member that have all just come on recently. My focus is very much on making sure that they have what they need in order to help our company hit the goals that I have set for us. So I'm very much pouring into the team and I'm pouring into my clients. Beyond that, like those are my focuses on a quarter basis. And so my actions on a weekly and daily basis tie back into those focuses, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I organize there. I'm also like Google Drive galore. I have folders for everything and a document for so many different things. So I like to organize there as well. I am obviously, I would consider myself a creative person. So I sometimes have things that just like come to my head from a content perspective of like, ooh, I know that this would help my avatar or benefit her in some way. So I have a notes app on my phone called Content Ideas, and I create a new note for each idea that I have so that I can go back through, funnel out, and put into our marketing plan.
Ooh, I love that. I have way too many notes. I use Trello too, but yeah, Trello is a good place to go, guys, if you need some sort of like organization. I really need to get into that full focus planner. I need to get like super clear. Okay, so we talked about planning. Now, what do you think is the most important habit of a successful person? Is that not generalized or what? Like, I mean, maybe in terms of branding, maybe you can kind of tie it into what you teach. Like, what do you think is the most important thing for highly successful business people to practice on a daily basis?
I think, wow, this is a tricky question for me, Stace, because it's hard for me to say one specific habit. You hear like, I've read the book Miracle Morning Millionaire, and they're like, all successful people get up early and start their day early and start their day this way and all the things. Okay, sure, that could be true, but I also work really well at night. I work well in the morning and I work well in the evening. So do I like to get up and start my day in a certain way? Yes. I also have a 4.5-month-old who is my alarm clock right now at 5 a.m. when he's hungry. So I don't always get that choice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like the habits or the things that help successful people, probably the number one thing I would say is perseverance and having the perseverance characteristic. And the reason for that is because entrepreneurship is going to knock you on your butt a lot. You're going to feel like you fall and you fail, and then you have to get back up and try again. Colin and I have been watching Colin is my husband, for those of you who are listening. We've been watching the Olympic trials. We love the gymnasts. They're fabulous.
Yes.
And we were watching the other night, and this gymnast went to do a release on the bar and went to, like do a like jump or whatever and go to catch the bar. Well, she missed the bar and she fell on her face.
I saw that.
Top
Yep.
bar. And I was like, oh my gosh, she got right back up. She finished the routine. And that is the perseverance that entrepreneurship requires of you. You have to, when you fall, you've got to get back up and you've got to keep going, because what you don't realize is the number of people that are watching, even if they're not liking your things and commenting on everything or whatever, you never know who's actually watching you for that inspiration, for that piece of empowerment, for what are they going to do next, or how are they going to pick themselves back up from this. And at each stage of entrepreneurship, there is a new challenge. I don't care if you're at the beginning, if you are a multi-6-figure business, or if you're on your way to 7 figures. There's a new challenge at each stage that's going to require you to persevere through that and to figure out a way around the roadblock. And I think that characteristic at the end of the day is something that truly contributes to success, because it's figuring out, it's how to problem solve. It's how to problem solve, and it's how to say, you know what, I failed and I'll accept that, but I'm not going to be defeated about it. And I'm going to pick myself up and persevere and get up the next day and figure it out.
Perseverance. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. So I'm drawing a blank on the woman's name. Who is the woman that has really short blonde hair that's on Shark Tank? Barbara something?
Mm-hmm.
Barbara, right?
Yeah, Barbara Cochran.
Cochran, yeah. So I think we've probably all heard of Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. We've heard of that book. It's like a really old book. It's really old, but like many multi-millionaires have read this book. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they just released like actual film of it. So wow. I bought the film because I've never read the book. I'm not a good reader. I'm an audio book type of gal. So I bought the like audio book that goes with this book. It's like the 10 habits of highly successful people, but then it like pushed me into their funnel of like buying the video. So I bought the video and I'm like, oh my God. So I can literally listen to this every single day, all day, as I'm doing all the things, because this video has so many quotes from, millionaires, super highly successful people making massive impact in this world. And one of them was Barbara, and they act as though this is like a documentary, and they go to her like a few different times, and they're all answering kind of the same question. And they kind of asked that same question to her, and she said perseverance. And she said literally, like, she thinks the thing that is different from the people who succeed and the people that don't succeed is the fact that people who succeed fall so hard and they don't let themselves feel bad about it. Like, they don't feel bad for themselves ever. Like, if bad things happen, you're just like, yep, that was bound to happen. Everything was going too good. Like, here we go. We're going to pivot. We're going to just keep going, and we're going to figure it out. Like, that is the difference between like success and failure. It's just keep going. And I know that that sounds so easy, but it's not. I get it. But okay, so if we feel stuck with our brand and we feel stuck with clarity in our business, what are the first few things that we can do to really get into actual momentum that's going to make us money? Like, what is going to make, at the end of the day, the biggest impact with our marketing, our branding? Like, where do we start? Maybe you have 2 or 3 things that you want to share with us, or just maybe one major thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stace, you're speaking my love language. Absolutely. So, whether you're in the beginning stages or you're in a stage of feeling like you're stagnant, it is time for you to really get crystal clear around who it is that you serve, why you serve them, how you serve them, and how you do it differently than what else is out there in the market already. You guys, every industry is saturated. We get so many marketing messages on a daily basis. Like, it's absolutely bananas. It now takes about 30 to 50 times on average for a cold audience member, so someone who has never heard of you before, who just clicked that follow button, it takes about 30 to 50 times of seeing your content for them to actually make a conversion decision with you. 30 to 50 times. That is a high freaking number, but that's because of the saturation that exists in our world. When you build a brand that truly calls in and speaks to the person that you can serve, your avatar, the person that you can serve in the biggest and best way, the game changes for you. So step number 1 is gaining clarity around who it is that you serve, how you serve them, why you do it, and how you do it differently than other people. That's step 1. Step number 2 is going to be the messaging. What is it that they need to hear? In that avatar discovery process, I help my entrepreneurs walk through and uncover what is it that their avatar is struggling with, and what is it that they truly desire, and what is it that they truly want. Based on that, you come up with your brand positioning, your messaging, that emotional connection, how your brand is perceived in the market, and you get to decide what that needs to be, what they need to hear from you in order to connect with you on that really personal level. So yes, story is absolutely involved here. We leverage brand story and marketing to help connect our audience on that deeper, more emotional level. And then the third piece is truly figuring out where your avatar is hanging out online. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Pinterest? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Based on that, you develop out your marketing funnel. Without getting too technical here, you develop out your funnel, which is simply, you guys, how you're leading them from the follow button to the checkout button of whatever sale you have for them. And there are various different ways in which you can do that, which is why it's not copy paste, one size fits all, but it is important for you to figure out, that strategy and what's going to make sense for you and for your business. So it's very much that like avatar discovery, defining and getting clear around your brand message and positioning, and then implementing the marketing strategy that leverages, all of these different platforms, etc., to really amplify your message and speak to, connect with, and ultimately convert your audience.
Hey friend, before we get too far into this episode, I want to be sure you know about how the environment plays a role on your overall health. For over a decade, I've been learning so much about the lack of health regulation in the personal care and food industries, and that's actually one of the reasons why I started this show. You deserve to know how to protect you and your family from unwanted body burden, and I share further information about how to make better choices and vote with your dollar in our private Facebook community called The Urban Pharmacy. On that note, I want to let you know about one of the easiest ways that we've switched to safer, and that's through my favorite clean beauty brand called Beauty Counter. Your skin is your largest organ, and what you put on it every day matters a lot. And with a low carbon footprint, cruelty-free formulations, and high-performing results, I haven't found a better beauty brand than Beauty Counter in over 5 years of working with this mission-driven brand. To learn more and shop clean, head to mybetterbeauty.com.
Okay, so 2 steps. How do we find our avatar? And what in the world is an avatar?
Avatar is your target audience, soul client, dream customer, whatever word you want to insert there. It's one very specific person that you know that you are speaking to in a clear and consistent way that connects with you and that ultimately wants and needs what you have to offer because they know that it's going to create true transformation for them in their life. So that is avatar. What was the first part of your question, Stacey? You asked how do we define that?
How do we find them? And like, and then also, do you think that this goes together with, sending a message, for instance, like say if we're in direct sales, like, yeah, I have two different things that I'm going on, right? I have Beauty Counter and I have the Urban Pharmacy, like, or, nutrition. How are we going to combine both of those two to talk to our target audience? Like, how do we find that avatar? And then also, how important do you think it is for people to have something other than what they're trying to sell that they are known for?
Wow, Stace, these are such good questions. Look at you.
Do you think that has to do with like finding your avatar? Because, I've been working on trying to find my ideal avatar, and it's shifted and pivoted with my brand changing, and that's totally cool. But like, I don't think people understand how important it is to find this ideal client that you're talking to, and like what you do on a daily basis, like showing up on social media, the message that you send, like how they connect.
Yeah. So let me first talk a little bit about defining that ideal avatar, Stace, and then I want to use your brand as an example. So first of all, in order for you to define your avatar, it's important. Well, it is an involved process. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's an involved process because it needs to be. And what I work with my clients on is developing out an actual avatar story. I do have an example of this on my podcast. You can hear me do some of this process with a client. It's on episode 3 of my podcast, Branded. So you guys can go check that out. You also can come to a training that we're getting ready to host. We host this workshop every 8 weeks or so. And so you guys can come hang out in there and we dive more into the process. But two of the most important pieces, identifying their internal problem. So what is it that they're truly struggling with? Not at the surface level. So this is not like, let's use Beauty Counter as an example, Stace. This is not, I need new makeup. This is, I need makeup that is going to allow my skin to feel good, but that's good for me and what I'm putting on my body, that's good for the environment. And it doesn't make me feel like I'm breaking out or itchy when I'm sweating outside, and like that it's like seeping into my pores and it's bad for me. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's that deeper, like underlying level of the problem. Or maybe using the makeup example, it's, I need new makeup is that like base surface level that people are not motivated to buy on that level. Maybe that deeper level is, I need new makeup because I have acne scarring and I'm really self-conscious about it, but I also want makeup that's, good for me and good for the environment as well, right? As an example, okay? So that's step number 1 there. Step number 2 is, what is it that they want? What is their end result of what they're hoping to get? Well, using that makeup example, that client's end result is probably feeling freaking confident on a day-to-day basis. When she puts on her makeup in the morning, she is like, I am glowing. Like, I feel so good about who I am and I show up in a different way because I am more confident. And that's who I want to be on a day-to-day basis. But I don't need some like long hour-long routine. I need like quick 5 minutes because I've got kids and I'm busy and all the things. But I want to feel freaking confident after I get my face on for the day, right? So that's like that end result of how, that's like a super basic example, but hopefully that helps to clarify. Yeah. So it's that internal problem, that's that emotional problem, and then it's that deepest desire, which is what is it that they want to achieve at the end of the day. Okay, let's use your brand as an example, Stace, because there are so many entrepreneurs who have a lot of different things going on. So Stace, your brand, the Urban Pharmacy, is kind of your umbrella brand. These different things that you do fall underneath that. So at the end of the day, you are targeting women entrepreneurs and you're helping them not only create ROI in their businesses based off of like if they join your Beauty Counter team or if they join you on the coaching side or whatever it may be, but you're helping them do it from a holistic health perspective, which makes you really unique because like I'm not teaching that. I'm teaching you branding and marketing, but you want health, you want cooking, you want mindset when it comes to those pieces. Like that's not my jam. That's Stacey's jam, right? And so for you, that's how it kind of all ties together. You have your Urban Pharmacy overarching kind of that umbrella, and you have these pieces underneath it that all support one another. But at the end of the day, all of those things that you're doing support this very specific avatar that you are trying to reach. Okay. So anybody who's like listening to this and you're like, I have all these different things going on. All of your different things going on probably have some kind of common overarching tie or theme. You have to determine what that is so that you don't create confusion for your audience and so that it's clear for you and it's clear for your audience, because a confused audience never buys. They don't convert. So it's important to make sure that you're clear and consistent in that. So that's just kind of the example using your brand, Stace. I hope that that's helpful.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think that this is such a huge part. And people are just like, they aren't succeeding because they're not talking to the right person, or they're just not talking to anybody, like, or they just don't know that they need to have this like one, type of person that they're talking to. Like, it's not just showing up on social media and being like, I know my friends and I know my family are going to watch this. Like, your friends and your family are like so different in every single way. I mean, they're like up and down with age, they're men and women. Like, no, you got to find your like Sally or your, Jade or whoever your entrepreneur is. Like, give her a name. I have yet to give her a name. I've been working on that. But like, you have to get really specific and know exactly who you're showing up for and serving to make their life better, and like go into your life or into your daily life with that like thought of who am I showing up for? Who am I serving? And how can I make their life better with what I have to offer? Okay. So, oh my gosh, why did time go so fast? We don't have that much more time. Okay. How important do you think it is to create long-term goals versus short-term goals in terms of like your business and your brand? I feel like you have like your entire life mapped out, Steph. And I'm just like, this girl, I mean, come on, like, it's true. You legit do. You've got it. You're so crystal clear. And this is literally like, I could hire you again and again, just because like you teach so much about like, oh, well, okay, Stacey, you need to get crystal clear on what you're doing. You need to get crystal clear on who you're serving. You need to get crystal clear. Like, you say that all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, am I clear enough? Like, I don't think I am. I need to get my entire life planned out, my ideal life planned out. Like, I know that you do this. So, okay, how important do you think it is? And like, how far out do you go? I know you teach us to do this 10-year thing. Go into that a little bit.
Okay. So everyone does goals a little bit differently. And I totally get that. And I hear that. Stace, what I will say to that is I am very much a visionary, and this is part of my human design. It's part of how I'm wired. It's just part of who I am. So it is very easy for me, but I also think this is kind of my secret sauce when it comes to coaching. I can see in my clients and for my clients what they cannot yet see for themselves of what's actually possible for them and where they can go and how they can get there. Like, I can see that before they ever can. And I think that that's what helps make the Weber Co. a really cool and special place because of that. But for me and for my life, I hate to say that I've always been clear on what I've wanted, but I have always, like, for example, going back to college, when my parents were like, sorry, we don't have money to send you to school, I already knew where I wanted to go to school. I already know what I didn't want. I didn't want to go to like a large state school where I was going to just be a number. I wanted that like personal interaction and that connection. So I knew I wanted to go to Butler, which also meant private school tuition. And I was like, I'm going to figure it out. And so I've always known what my end result, what I wanted that to be, and been able to kind of figure out the pieces of getting there along the way. And I think that when you're planning and when you're thinking about goals, it is important for you to determine where is it that you want to go. For me, I want to be able to have a lake house where we can go out on the lake and we can wakeboard and we can ski, and we have this big, beautiful deck where I can drink wine, and I have the whole thing in my head. We're not there yet. So what's going to help us get there? Well, a couple of things. One is making sure that I'm putting my money where I need to in terms of investing both in the business and personally to help us to get there at some point in time. Maybe next year, maybe next summer we buy a boat, and that's like a first step. You know what I mean? So you have to have steps that are going to help you get to that big goal, because when you just look at the goal that's huge, this monumental goal, which I'm all for, it's like, wow, that's really overwhelming. I'm never going to get there. I'm not even going to try. It feels too much. It feels like too much, right? So you have to break it down and you have to say, okay, this is what I want to achieve, but what are the steps needed to actually get there? Sorry, I had a popcorn chip before this call. There was literally popcorn stuck in my throat. That's what just happened. So that was fun. I can't tell you the number of podcast interviews I've been on and that happens to me, and it's so embarrassing. I apologize, you guys. Anyway, it is really important to plan those long-term goals, because that's ultimately what is leading your decision-making on a day-to-day basis at the end of the day. And again, I know that not everybody thinks this way, And I'm not telling you, you need to figure out all the little nitty gritty pieces. You need to allow for some fluidity, because if you have an idea of what it is that you want to create, maybe it's you want to get out of your 9 to 5, or you want to be able to buy a vacation home, or whatever that like big result is for you. You can allow for some fluidity in how you're going to get there, as long as you are making intentional steps and taking intentional action along the way to help make that possible for you. And there has to be a why behind it. There can't just be this like arbitrary, like, yeah, I want this thing, the end. No, why do you want that? Like for me, the lake house thing for me is because that's how I want my family and my son to grow up. And that's how I want us to be able to spend time together and to connect. And I also feel really connected to the world when I'm in nature and on the water and like in the trees, and when we're together as a family. And I think that that's really, really cool. So there has to be that greater why. And that is just like a personal piece. Aside from that, I want to be able to create a foundation that supports women entrepreneurs who are at the beginning stages of their journey, both financially and from a mentorship perspective. So my why for the Weber Co. is largely due to that. So each month I'm taking a fraction of what the Weber Co. is profiting and putting it in an account that ultimately will allow us to open the foundation at some point in time when we can do that. And when I know more about what the steps are to actually open a foundation, right? Because I don't know what those steps are yet, but I have a goal that happens by 2023, and it will. I know I have the people in my circle that I know I need to help make that possible and to help make that happen. So that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about long-term goals. You have to think about what's going to be needed in order to help you get there. Be a little bit flexible in your path of how it's going to happen, and maybe even when it's going to happen, but never lose sight of what you want. Never lose sight of what that vision looks like for you, because I can pretty much guarantee you that if you stay focused on it and you stay rooted in it and you believe that it's possible for you, whatever it takes to get there, it will happen. It will happen for you.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Like, basically, if you can imagine it happening, like there's a reason why that was placed in your mind. And like, listen, we only have one life here on earth, and we better take action. And knowing that why behind it, knowing that, I want a lake house because this is the way that I want my life, my child to grow up. This is the way that I envision my afternoons, with friends, like whatever. You've got to get super specific. And, I think that's kind of the underlying thing about this whole episode. We have to be specific about what we want in our life. We have to be specific about the people that we surround ourselves with. We have to be specific about our brand and who we're showing up to serve every single day. And persistence and specificity. I think that those are like what we need. I think that was the underlying thing today. Okay, Steph, before we wrap up, that went way too fast. We could talk so much about the Weber Co. and like all of the amazing things that you have to offer. And we will be adding all of that to the show notes. But I ask everybody this, and I want to know from you, what does living a holistic life mean to you?
I think for me, Stace, it's really determining what balance looks like. And I think balance looks a little bit different. And I truly don't believe that balance is like this perfectly even thing. I think it's about what makes sense in your life. And for me, it's very much how am I nourishing and taking care of my body and my health? Because if I'm not doing that, I can't do any of the things that I want to do, and I can't impact lives the way I want to, and I can't take care of my son the way that I want to, right? So it's very much like, how am I taking care of myself and my body? And then it's also, how am I continuing to pour into our world and our community? And how am I leaving each space that I enter a little bit better each and every day? So I think that for me is kind of what that means. Finding that balance defined on my terms and what makes sense for me in my life, making sure that my body and mind and soul are healthy, and just being able to leave spaces a little bit better than when I found them.
And you freaking do, like, so much. We all love you. And if you want to connect with Steph, join Brand Building Rockstars Facebook group. Yes. Like, no doubt you need to be in it. And the workshop is coming up. She does Brand Breakthrough Live. And if you missed this one, like by the time this airs, maybe the next one, like, she does it consistently, so don't worry. But you need to enter that. We'll add a link at the bottom of this show so that you can enter the Facebook group, get on her website, check out the program. Join me in the academy because your life will change, like guarantee you. And you'll be like with me on the calls, on the Zoom call. I mean, you just need to join. Like if you're a business woman, you need to join, hands down. Okay. That's the end of the story. Okay. Done with the podcast, done with the episode. Steph, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Be well. Any last words?
I appreciate you so much. I'm so thankful for you. And yes, we would love to have you in any of our community spaces. And be sure, if you haven't already joined Stacey's Facebook group too, that you do that because she's phenomenal and amazing. But thank you guys so much for listening. Truly, if you're an entrepreneur, I really do believe that whatever it is that you're trying to cultivate is so needed and so important in this world. And it's important to keep pursuing whatever it is that you have on your heart, because it'll never go away. If you try to push it away, it will never go away for you. So keep pursuing it, even when it gets hard, even when it gets challenging, and surround yourself with people who are always going to cheer you on and lift you up, because that is key.
Oh my God. So good. All right, friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Jace.
I'm over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of The Urban Pharmacy. For today's show notes, head on over to theurbanpharmacy.com and be sure to join us inside our private Facebook group called The Urban Pharmacy, where we share inspiration, live trainings, and holistic living tips to help you build community and the healthy lifestyle that you've always wanted. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Before we connect again on the next show, follow me on Instagram at The Urban Pharmacy. That's urban with an H and pharmacy with an F. And I can't wait to hear your wellness journey as we get to know each other better. You know, there's truly no better time than now to level up your life. And I am so proud of you for showing up today. Until next time, be well, Health Crusader.